Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the pod and my usual ramblings. Today I want to talk about why I believe that DevOps has too many tools. Now, please, I want you to have an open mind when you listen to this, even if you disagree with me in the end. And I will probably say right straight up now that my opinion is a minority opinion. So that's okay if you disagree with me, but I do think it's important that good engineers do not engage in groupthink and chasing people with the same opinions that they have. It's very important to listen to people that disagree with you. Keep an open mind. You know, your opinions won't change. They will change over life. You'll see things differently. And part of doing that is listening to people who disagree with you in every respect of life, not only in DevOps and how DevOps works and having a career and those sort of things. So yeah, have a listen. I think you'll appreciate what I have to say. Look, I think DevOps has way too many tools. Imagine, if you will, you must have seen those images where people post an ecosystem of DevOps tools, or maybe they get more specific. It could be like AI or ML ops, or it could be monitoring, observability, and you'll just see this huge raft of dozens of icons of different vendors, of course, trying to sell you their products, and maybe the icons are grouped into different vendors who have similar products, but at the end of the day, there's dozens of products that you see, even in just one small space. And if you look at DevOps as a whole, there are hundreds of products, maybe even over 1,000 products easily, that are actually in quite high and active use around the world. So it is crazy. I think it's just insane, and I just don't think it's good for quite a few reasons. For one, I think when you have that many tools, it becomes a kind of ego-driven selection of tools that people don't really, they will claim, but actually they won't really do all the work required, but they will claim, well, they won't claim it, but you just know that they haven't gone through a vigorous product or service selection process. They haven't properly identified the business need. They haven't properly translated that in solutioning into technical requirements, done adequate research, discovery, looked at alternatives, considered all the trade-offs, all of that before even deciding to go ahead and use a tool, having a proof of concept as part of that process, etc. Quite often people just pick a product. Now, I understand that you could have worked with a product at even several different places. You could have used also alternative products, but you're going into a company probably with a favorite in mind, and in my opinion, you need to stop that. You always need to double check. For example, I've used GitHub in many places, and I could easily walk into a new company and say, you know, GitHub and also GitLab, great tools. I got great experience with them. I didn't like Jenkins or Circle CI. Use GitHub or GitLab, and you know, I'm going to do like 5 minutes so-called research on alternatives. And I'm going in there with a big amount of confirmation bias, and really that's wrong. In fact, you should probably find someone in the team who's never used those products and get them to do some more impartial research about product selection. So one of the problems with many tools is you get this ego-driven product selection. It happens all the time, and quite often you end up in technical debt because it was a bad decision, and you have a lot more to fix, a lot more to manage. You should have used the other product in the first place, and you probably end up having to migrate to another product or just live with the bad decision that was made earlier. So the more choice you have, the more likely you are to make bad decisions, and let's call it ego-driven decisions. Another problem is these tools they can of course be integrated, but they're not out of the box. Unless they're using some kind of standard, they're not out of the box already integrated. It requires significant amount of work to do that. Now, let's say that you're using a cloud. You probably will be using a cloud. Let's say you're using the networking, the identity management, which is essential. But you have a choice. Do you use the certificate management? Do you use the let's say another service that is quite common, like the monitoring, okay? Or do you manage that with a third-party product? Now, a lot of companies are using third-party products, and if you ask the original architect, why don't you use the built-in cloud one, then they may even immediately just say, well, it doesn't fit our use case, we have more complex and specific requirements. And even if they say that, it may actually not be correct. It could well be that they never really gave much thought and analysis on whether the built-in cloud version actually fit sufficiently their requirements, and didn't consider the trade-offs, the major advantages of having integrated products already pre-integrated on the same platform, which actually means there's less for you to manage because there's some management going on behind the scenes that you don't have to handle, and the additional work you have to do when you set up third-party products. So what I'm saying is, they may even say or claim that they need the third-party products, but the truth is, have they really done a robust, a vigorous analysis and considered that? Do they even revisit this every 2 years? Because quite often when a decision is made, it's never changed, and technology changes, as you know. It changes all the time. Maybe the built-in products are better now than the third-party ones you're using. What is the cost of changing? What are the advantages? What are the trade-offs? Most of the time, people don't even do anything. They don't even reconsider. They don't question the original decision. They don't go back and look at it again. So that's part of the problem. The more tools that there are, the more likely it is that you're going to use non-similar or let's say, integrated tools. There's also a big thing. The more tools there are, if you're going to do that, so my advice is, see if integrated tools on a cloud will fit your use case and will also be future-proof. And make very careful decisions if you need to use a third-party product. And if you do, you need to do the proper analysis. Do not take shortcuts. Do not be driven by your ego. Do it properly. Do the proper analysis and solicit other opinions. Don't make this decision on your own. Consider all the trade-offs. And what else I would say is that if you go for a third-party product, really give a strong consideration to using something that is popular. So, for example, this is a great example. Use something that has been promoted as part of the CNCF, the Cloud Native Cloud Foundation. I forget exactly what it stands for, but CNCF products go in there when they're new. They get more development. They're all open source. As the product gets better, with more support from the community, it gets graduated. So if you're going to use third-party products, I would have a strong bias towards using either a highly reputable CNCF product, or if you really need support, you really need a vendor support, then definitely consider strongly your decision there, because it could be very different to switch vendors later. You could get locked in. If you really need that support, be very careful about that. Make sure it's worth what you're paying. And yeah, do it selectively. I mean, the other thing is, let's say that you use a whole bunch of tools and they're all third-party paid services. You can have a big bill as well. But my point is, use things that have a lot of support, because it's going to be much easier when you're developing these products or need to fix them, that you can, when you do Google or go to Slack rooms, that there's going to be plenty of people also using those products, so you can fix them or develop them much more easily. Do not end up with an ecosystem of extremely unusual, barely used products. You're going to have a hell of a time trying to work with these products. And can you imagine trying to hire as well? Can you imagine if you need someone who doesn't, let's say your department, it doesn't use Terraform, it uses Pulumi, but it also doesn't use a well-known monitoring stack. It uses something extremely obscure. And there's a series of these extremely weird and obtuse decisions that have been made. How are you going to hire someone who has that skill set? Most people are going to look at the job ad and going to be like, well, I can't do that, and I don't want to work with all those products and products that aren't even popular that I can't use again. And the few people that are willing to do it, maybe they've got a huge amount of experience. You're going to have to pay a lot more to attract them. So it's going to increase your wage bill as well. It's just, in general, a super bad idea to have more tools and obscure tools it's just a waste of time. So yeah, I hope you I don't know what you think about this. Please, maybe you disagree with me, maybe you agree with me, or you got some other comments, some other thoughts. Please leave your thoughts below. I'm super curious about them. It's always good to listen to other opinions. So thanks for watching and take care. Bye bye.